Imagine you're out in the forest, chopping wood with a friend. You swing your axe, and suddenly, the heavy bronze head slips right off the handle. It strikes your friend, and just like that, the unthinkable happens. Your friend is dead. It was a complete accident, but in the eyes of your community, you are now a manslayer. In the ancient Middle East, you couldn't call the police. There were no jails to hold you safely until a trial. Justice was enforced by a figure known as the Goel Hadam, the avenger of blood. The avenger was usually the nearest male relative of the victim. Under the law of the time, he was honor-bound and legally permitted to hunt you down and take your life in return. The ancient code of blood for blood was absolute. Because there was no middle ground for an innocent mistake, a single slip of an axe head became an automatic death sentence. To address this, the Mosaic Code established a sanctuary system. The Israelites were commanded to designate 6 specific cities spread across the land, 3 to the east of the Jordan River and 3 to the west. Those cities were Kedesh, Shechem, Hebron, Bezer, Ramoth, and Golan. These were exclusively Levitical cities. Because they were run by priests rather than local tribes, they functioned as neutral ground, removed from the immediate heat of a family feud. In a landscape otherwise governed by the threat of vigilante vengeance, these cities were designed to be legally protected islands of peace. But a sanctuary is only useful if you can actually reach it. How did a terrified, exhausted fugitive manage to outrun an avenger of blood who might be only minutes behind him? The solution was geographic. The cities were spaced so that no citizen in the country was ever more than half a day's journey from asylum. The Sanhedrin even mandated the maintenance of the roads. The routes to these cities had to be at least 48 feet wide, leveled, and cleared of any physical obstacles that could slow a runner down. At every major crossroad, massive signs were erected with the word refuge clearly visible, ensuring the fugitive never had to hesitate or search for the path. When they reached the city walls, the gates were found standing open. They were staffed 24 hours a day and were never locked, not even during wartime. This entire infrastructure was engineered to facilitate escape, demonstrating that the law prioritized the preservation of life over the immediate impulse for retribution. Reaching the gates did not mean a total pardon. It guaranteed a fair hearing before the congregation to determine whether the killing was truly an accident. If the trial proved the murder was intentional, no ransom was accepted. The killer was handed directly to the avenger of blood for execution. However, if ruled an accidental manslayer, you were granted total asylum. You were given housing and protection from the avenger within the city walls. But this safety came with a restriction. You were in exile. If you ever stepped outside the city limits, the avenger still had the legal right to kill you. You were a prisoner of hope, waiting for one specific event, the death of the reigning high priest. In this legal system, the death of the high priest acted as a national amnesty. It satisfied the requirement for atonement, wiped the legal debt clean, and allowed every manslayer to return to their home safely. While the city walls provided immediate cover, the end of the high priest's life was the only mechanism that could fully resolve the blood debt and restore a person to the outside world. For many scholars, these cities aren't just obsolete civic laws. They are viewed as types, historical blueprints designed to foreshadow spiritual concepts. In this framework, humanity represents the fugitive, fleeing the condemnation of the law and the inherent consequences of sin. The infrastructure, the level roads, the signs, and the 24/7 access mirrors the idea that divine grace is meant to be immediate and available to everyone without barriers. The city itself points to the role of Christ as the ultimate sanctuary, offering a place where the fugitive finds absolute protection from spiritual judgment. From the wide bridges to the unlocked gates, these ancient physical details demonstrate a system where every obstacle to safety has been intentionally removed. This reaches its climax with the law's most unusual requirement, that the manslayer was only truly freed by the death of the mortal high priest. In the spiritual mapping of this story, humanity is ransomed by the death of Christ, who takes on the role of the great high priest. While the ancient priest's death offered a temporary legal pardon, this ultimate sacrifice is viewed as a permanent restoration of everything humanity had lost. The ancient cities of refuge stand as a testament that the core of this plan was always to provide a safe harbor, proving that the most secure protection is found by fleeing to a sanctuary of grace.